In this video, we're about to talk about knots. Not just leader knots, but knots that I have used on my baits in bass fishing for countless of years. Some of these knots I've used for 2 years, all the way up to 16 years. I kind of have a couple different knots that I've used for different types of lines and baits and techniques. I'm going to share that with you today. Guys, and remember with knots, not all knots are perfect, okay? There are some knots better than others for situations, and that's where I'm going to share with you in this. Okay, I'm going to go over 3 different types of knots I like to use for baits where the line tie goes to the bait, and then I'm going to talk about 2 leader knots in this video that I've used in the last year to 2 years, okay? And I'm going to share the situations why I've tried to test this and that. And guys, with this, what I'm going to try to do is give you a good video picture. So I'm going to do it one time. You can rewind it if you want, okay guys? But before we get into that, let me share with you a couple of things that can help support my business or things that you're interested in. I do on the water lessons where I offer electronic lessons, offshore lessons, forward facing lessons. I will travel. Most people will travel to me, but I'll travel if interested. I also have my one-on-one virtual lessons where we can have a one-on-one virtual meet through a Google Zoom meet. Now guys, let's go ahead and learn one of my first favorite knots for big crankbaits. Okay guys, here's my first one. I'm going to try to sit behind you so you can see this thing in the different parts, okay? So this right here is a 6-inch C20, okay? It's kind of like an 8X style plug. Now this is my knot I like to use for crankbait fishing, okay, and definitely deep diving crankbait fishing. The reason I started doing this knot is because back in 2006, 7, 8 or whatever it was around then, I was having crankbaits snap off when I'd cast. I'd have them break off at times on hook sets, and then all of a sudden I watched Skeet Reese tie this knot. So I don't know what the knot name is, okay? So I'm going to put this thing through here as you see, just one time. Okay, there it is right there, one time, all right? Okay, guys, so with this knot here, okay, as you see right here, so it's right there through the line tie, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have too much long of a deal, but I'm going to wrap it, okay? So I'm going to wrap it. Now, as you see, I'm not going to like have a number of wraps. Now, I'm going to lick this part here, okay? I then lick it, and now I have a loop right there. I have a loop right there. I'm going to put it through the loop, and then we are going to tie it, okay? This is actually a little harder than it seems with the camera right here. I'm about to do the chest camera here in a second, okay? So there it is right there, okay? I probably could have done one more loop, but this knot here, once again, I watched Skeet Reese tie this thing, and then I kind of stopped it. This is back when before YouTube and all that. I'd go I'd go rewind it, pause, rewind it, and that ended up being my knot. And I've stuck with this thing since, I believe, 2008. So that's my knot right there. Like I said, I probably could have wrapped it one more time. I like this for crankbait and jerk baits. A light line, okay? This right here is 10-pound test. Now I would throw this on 12, but this is a 10-pound test line. I'll put all my information online. This right here. So this line right here is the Xing, okay, Goro, I believe the Goro's the 4-carbon. They have Kanata braid too. My crankbait rod, guys, I'm going to go ahead and turn real quick. I'm going to so y'all can see me, all right? My crankbait rod at the time is in my boat, and my boat's not here. If you watch my channel enough, you see my boat's right here, my boat's right now. I'm not going to tell you where it is, but I've had some trailer issues, no comment on there. So my boat's actually at a lake in a slip right now, a lake that I got on. So guys, that knot right there, though, I like it for crankbaits, jerk baits, light line. I've used that same knot, guys, on my jig head minnow. For my jig head minnow, but I'm gonna share with that in a minute a loop knot with the jig head minnow, okay? I'm gonna share the loop knot with it. Okay, next one, guys, right here is a big flutter spoon. So this one is for more of heavier line, 16 to 20 pound plus line, okay? I've used this knot, all right, for a long time. This is one of the first knots I've ever learned. Like, I don't know the name of it, so one of y'all might tell me. Leave me in the comments y'all's knots, okay? There's so many knots, and there's one knot that I've been playing with that I might start using, the San Diego Jam or whatever it's called, the San Diego Jam. I know some pros that use it, good friend that uses it too, but it's one knot. So this is a knot I've used for a long time now. Guys, the Palomar, I'm not going to go over the Palomar. Palomar is another knot that I like to use from that pound test from 12 to 16. If it's a swim bait, if it's a jig, a big worm. This one here, though, was my other knot for those scenarios, but for some reason I've gone to the Palomar in recent years because the Palomar is a strong knot. But this is one I still use. This right here is 20-pound test, okay? So this one I still use for like flutter spoon and that sort of deal. So I'm going to put it through there once. Now I'm going to put it through there again. Now this is about to be real interesting with this swivel and the phone right here in front of me, okay? Anyway, so I put it through there twice. Oh, I didn't put it through there twice. That would have been bad. So I'm going to put it through there 2 times. There we go. All right, so it's through there twice. Now I'm going to twist it at least 6 times, and it could be more. All right, so I'm gonna twist it. Don't know how many times I've twisted there. Now I'm gonna lick it. Okay, and now, so here is my tagline. I'm gonna bring it right back through here. Okay, now this one, once again, I have caught on this knot. I actually use this on my Alabama rig knot. So it's caught a 10-pounder on my Alabama rig. It's caught a bunch of giants on this spoon right here. Okay, but there is the knot, if y'all can see it right there. Okay, now once again, I've used this one for a long time. I cut that tag in a little short, but that's what I like for bigger, heavier line. Okay, bigger, heavier line, like right here. This is 20-pound test on the flutter spoon. All right, now guys, let's go to the loop knot. Okay guys, now we're going to get to the loop knot. And this loop knot, there's a bunch of different types of loop knots, but this one I started throwing due to Spencer Sheffield. Okay, so I was testing the loop knots out on my jig head minnows. I've done them on top waters, but I watched a video that's out there where Sheffield tied this loop knot. So I'm calling it the Sheffield loop knot, but he said he found it on YouTube as well. So the first part is, now it's going to be real interesting tying this dude with a camera right here. So you have your loop. So I put it through there one time, just one little deal, guys. So, and this loop knot's a little easier to tie than others, and it's still pretty strong. So you just tie it through there one time. Now, we're going to put this thing right there, okay? And now as I'm holding my loop, all right, I'm going to put it in this hole once, okay? And then again. Now remember, guys, if you want to see this, you can go back and rewind it. All right, so now we're there. Now what I'm going to do is try to get the best of I can to where I'm going to tighten this down to where we're going to have a loop right here. Okay, so I'm going to tighten it down, but I'm going to lick it before I get it real tight, okay? So I'm pulling both the lines together, all right? So I'm going to pull and pull. Okay, I'm going to pull. I'm going to do it again. So there, that's a good one. I'm going to lick it real quick now. Okay. All right, now you see we have our loop right here. Okay, there is the loop. All right, but now what we're going to do to finish this off, because there's, like I said, the other loop knots you do a couple different more things. I'm going to put our tag line back around the main line one time. I'm going to come over here and lick it. And then you cinch it down, okay? Once again, this is kind of tough with this camera right here. Boom. Then you cinch it down, okay? And now, there we go. And I'll cut this tag line, and now we have our loop knot. Now, one thing about the jig head minnow and the loop knot, it does give it more action. It helps it shake a little bit more. The negatives with it is I've had some fish come unbuttoned at times due to the extra, you know, right here. It's not mainly connected to your line, but the loop knot is something that, of course, I'm now doing with the jig head minnow I have a lot of confidence in, and I think it does give you more bite. So all I would do is now cut this, and then we're good to go. Now let's go ahead and go into our leader knots. Okay guys, now we're going to go into the two knots I tie from my braid to fluoro leader. Now guys, as you tell, I actually recorded another segment out there, but I went by and cut it out because I filmed this video and then I realized something, and I realized a little bit of a mistake. I'm going to tell you what kind of happened, okay? There comes my little one in here. I already got the video edited. I'm about to throw this in there. So let's talk about the two knots. The first one's the double uni. The double uni was the first knot I did. I've used it for a long time. Caught fish with it in timber. Thank you, James. I caught fish with it. Caught double digit with it, okay? The thing about the double uni and all these knots is the double uni you need to retie at least after every fishing trip. But one thing, he's using the bait caster right now. But one thing, guys, about the double uni is you see Bass Fishing HQ did a study on, it's not a strong knot, like it did a study of a bunch of knots. And it's actually stronger for the lighter line you get to. For bigger line, do not. Okay, so once again, I'm using 15-pound braid, 10 fluoro. I've never had any issues with it. But at times, it cannot go through your guides as well. And then it might, you know, as it hits a guide stop or whatever, it kind of can cause a little bird nest, okay? Thanks, buddy. He's now handing me stuff. Now, the other knot, I thought was a modified FG knot. Okay, and I even said it. I think, when I'm making it, like, hey guys, if this isn't an FG, let me know. So I've used an FG, but an FG is not easy to tie. I typically will tie it at the house, and then I'd fish with it, and if I have a problem, whatever, because sometimes an FGs can crinkle when you're casting and stuff happens, okay? But This other knot I actually taught, and I've been using it for a couple months, and I can tie it in like 5 minutes on the water, wind, whatever. It's a modified Alberto knot. So I went back and looked at some knots, and so I kind of thought this was a modified FG, and I say that. Dude, he's bringing me everything right now. The video that got me on it was a Japanese video, and I couldn't understand the language, of course, and I couldn't understand what the Japanese language was. So this is a modified Alberto. It's not the true FG, but this knot, guys, I've used in a bunch of situations. I've talked about in the video when I'm tying it. It's been a part of a 28-pound bag that I caught this year. It was a part of me catching a fish around a wire, so it's a very, very strong knot. So come back. I'm going to finally get this FG. I thought I had one. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought this was a modified FG, and I was killing it. But then I started realizing, hey, this isn't FG. It's a modified Alberto. So anyway, guys, let's go get into the knot tying. Okay, guys, we're going to do the double uni here, and I tried to do the chest footage, guys, but I really did not like it on the chest camera, okay? So I'm going to try to do it to where you can see, and it's a dark background right here. Truck's a little dirty. It was clean, but then we had some rain. So anyway, I'm going to try to do this here. So I got my braid. This is the 15-pound braid. I'm going to do a little 10-pound fluorocarbon. And one thing when you tie these things, guys, it is probably easier to learn how to do it on bigger type line, okay? So one thing about the double uni, I've not tied this one in a while because I've been doing just straight FG. So I'm gonna do the fluorocarbon side first. So there's two sides to this, okay? That's why it's called the double uni. So there's my braid around. You just heard my chest camera go off actually with the GoPro. So there is my braid wrapped around the fluorocarbon. I'll have it a little long. Then I'm gonna pull this thing a little long out. Now this about to be tough with the camera, and when I look at the camera and back on my knot, I kind of get a little dizzy. So here we go. All right, so now we're here. Had to do a take two. It's hard with this camera in between here. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Me going back and forth, it just looks weird. So I make that one loop. We're right there, and now I'm gonna kind of pull them together, and then I'm gonna twist it. Okay, I'm gonna twist it. All right, I'm gonna twist this dude anywhere from 5-6 times. I'm gonna now lick that middle. There's my tag line. I'm gonna put the tag line through there, and I'm gonna bite it with my teeth. Okay, I'm gonna bite it with my teeth. There's the tag line. All right, and there it is. Okay, there it is. Now do not let go of the braid, because the braid will slip on this thing. Okay, the braid will slip. So I'm not gonna even do my tag line there yet. So now we're here. Now I have the braid. Okay, look, if I pull the braid, it comes out. So that's why it's a double uni. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to cut this. I don't even have my scissors. I don't even have my scissors with me because they're in the boat too. So I'm just going to use these. I'm using wire cutters right now. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with the braid. But the braid I've learned is do not do is mini loops, because then there's sometimes a problem. That's my one thing with it. So I'm going to go here. Now this is some small braid, so there's my 2 loops. Okay, we can make it a little bigger, why not? Okay, and then we're going to twist. 1, 2, 3, 4. I only do 4 on the braid side. I lick. I put it through the loop there, and then we pull it together. Hope this didn't go crazy. And it didn't. So then after I pulled it, it looked like it was about to mess up, but then I used my teeth and pulled it back with this one on the tag end, and now we have a double uni. So I'd cut this tag line. I would cut the fluoro one a little shorter too. It needs to be shorter as well, okay? But that is our knot there, okay? Okay, guys, now we're about to get into the FG, or this could be a modified version of the FG. Let me know if it's the actual FG or modified. I watched, there's so many videos on the FG knot, and no telling how I'm about to mess this up many times recording it like this, but there's so many versions of the FG knot videos out there, and you kind of have to find out which one's best for you. Guys, there are times this would take me 30 minutes at the house to tie, but now it can take me 5 or less, and it took practice and a way for me to find it. Now, one thing about this FG, I will say, there was a fishing trip and this fishing line, okay? That's one thing I kind of believe on this fishing line. I started trying this stuff out. I kind of like that right now, and they're going to get bigger spools but the spool size for the line is actually a little cheaper than your other stuff. And I'm gonna share how it's strong. There's a trip I actually made a video on it, but I didn't show all the footage due to me saving a spot. But this FG knot and this line, I had a 5'11" or so, something like that. It was one of the 5-pounders on, and it wrapped me around a wire on a buoy. That's a boat lane buoy. And you hear me when I'm fighting it saying, don't break, because it had it right. Don't break. After it, I caught the fish, it went down there, had me wrapped. And this knot or the line never broke. And that's one of the first times I tied this knot real quick in the boat. And it was windy that day. So let's see if I can do that, okay? So I need to remember all the good stuff. So one thing about it, how do I do this again? Okay, yep. Because there's a bunch of things about this knot, okay? So I'm gonna make a loop. Okay, I'm making a loop, but I like to have my tag line a little far. And there's a trick to it. For me, trial and error. So I'm gonna have this tag line a little far, okay? I'm going to put this line, I don't want this line all getting wrapped around. So, we have a loop. As you see, tag line, everything far. I'm going to probably put it about here, but there's a reason why I do that tag line. Okay, so I'm going to put the braid through. This is about to be really hard to tie with y'all right here, but we're going to try to make it work. I'm going to put the braid through. Alright, now see I'm holding it with my fingers there. Okay, now I'm going to wrap this dude this way. The old wrap. I'm wrapping it this way. I'm going to wrap it by hand. So I'm going to start. That's already not a good way to do it, huh? Okay, let's go. I'm going to actually I grab it like that. There you go. That's what I do. I then switch to my right hand. Okay, I switch to my right hand. Now I start wrapping. Okay, now as you see, there's so many ways to wrap. And I'm wrapping it this way. Now what I'm going to do after I do a couple wraps, I grab that. I grab this line with my teeth and tighten it up. I never let go over here on the right side, okay? So one thing about this is making sure the wraps are tight before you kind of do everything, all right? So I'm wrapping it. Come up here and tighten it up. And one thing about having this longer is it stays on here easier. So if you're out there in the wind or whatever, it stays on it. So I'm going to wrap it. And they say 16 to 20 wraps. I don't know if I've ever done 16, 20 wraps, guys. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I think I've done 12. I saw some guys say if you do 12 or 14 and you do it tight, that it works out well. So that's the thing is I wrap, okay? I wrap, and like I said, after I get done wrapping, I bite this in like I'm doing, okay? I should have had 2 cameras up. I bite that in, okay? And I'm going to make this other end tight too, okay? Yep. I was just looking at something here on this knot. So I bite the end, but that's just me now, guys. I kind of learned this from one YouTube video, okay? So, there's a couple YouTube videos out there, whatever. There's the triangle trick. There's all these tricks, and this was the one that worked for me. So after I did that, look, so there it is there. I'm now going to pull this back, and we're going to put it through this loop. Then we're going to pull it down. Boom. And there it is. There it is. And we're not done though yet, okay? Now what I'm going to do, that actually worked out nice there. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to tighten both ends. I'm going to tighten that in. I'm going to bite this tag line, probably my mouth. There we go. So here, wrapped around my finger, tighten that dude up, okay? And I'm going to wrap here, tighten this dude up, okay? There it is though. That's the old... Now what I'm going to do, okay, there's the OFG. Now, I'm going to take, I'm not done, take this tag in, and I'm going to tie a couple normal loop knots. Just normal loop knot, put it through, and put it right there up against the FG. So just make sure it does not kind of slip out. Now this is just something I've seen other guys do. So, I've seen to where people do 3 of those. So once again, just a normal little knot. So put that thing through. Okay, there it is. Wish I had 2 cameras so y'all could see both sides. But there's that there. Now, there was a trick I've seen someone do with the fluorocarbon side. I've tried it. I didn't like it. It kind of made a problem. So now all you do, guys, is you cut these tag lines, okay? Make sure you cut the tag lines, and we're done. That's it. Now, I want y'all guys to say, because like I've seen so many FG knots on videos that it makes me even think this might not even be the full FG knot, okay? Because like I said, this could be a modified FG knot. But I know one thing, this thing has caught a lot of fish. It's part of a 28-pound bag. It's caught a bunch of fish lately on Lake Hamilton. If you've been following along on my Facebook, my guide trips, this dude has been catching them. But this is the one that I've used. And before, like guys, when I do this at night and I'd come home, I would, I'd tie this at night, then I'd tie the double uni on the water, okay? And then there'd be times I just get frustrated, but it takes a lot of practice and finding out which one is good for you. Guys, welcome back to the Faith Juice segment, the part of the Fishing Coach episode on the videos, where I'm going to share a motivational topic on the day or scripture. And today I'm going to share something, guys, that can go with any amongst of us, because us as humans, I've talked about before, we're not perfect, but we also have this inside of us of being, I say, hateful or being negative or bad decisions, thinking wrong, whatever. Kind of your conscience, okay? So, and that's something we all can struggle with, and I'm just going to share a couple of things to help possibly with it. I know for me in the mornings, I like to pray, I ask for wisdom, guidance, and this is one thing, like there's a part of me inside to where like, and I come off, guys, I know as a energetic, happy, go-getting guy, but there could be a side of me that's pretty mean and like not nice, okay? It's in every one of us. So just a couple things to share real quick. Let me find, I got one, I thought I had one verse kind of ready. Where'd it go? 1 Timothy 1-5. Now the goal of our instruction is love from a pure heart, a good conscience, and a sincere faith. And then you have this one, and do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable in the perfect will of God. That's Romans 12:2. So guys, there's so many different scriptures and verses I can share, but that's one thing I know that we struggle with as humans is controlling our mind in a good direction, okay? And that can be a thing, it could be a habit to where once you start doing, then you're going to continue down that road. So it's something I know for me, I have to watch, because I know I come out as a pretty positive guy, but I work on it, but there could be a side of me to where it's there, just like it could be with you as well. So guys, just going to share that with you today. If you have any help or need anything on that, just shoot me a message on my Facebook page, okay? Appreciate it. Hey, I've got a lot of feedback on this part of the video. I'm getting messages, I'm getting comments. Thank you guys so much. Let me know what you think about this video with the knots. It was hard for me to do with everything in the camera, and as you guys know, I don't try to put with my time of life right now, I don't try to put in crazy hours in, okay, to this stuff, because I have other stuff going on, wife, kids, and my other fishing adventure businesses, all right? Appreciate it, guys. And I was about to say, one of these days on this channel, I might do some 20, 30-hour edits, but not right now. We're keeping it simple, okay? Thank you, guys. We'll see you on the next one.